Another meeting in progress. Okay, we're live.
Perfect, thanks. I want to welcome everyone to the Corporation, the Township of Orchard Valley as the committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 20th, and the time is 3 p.m. We're meeting in the council chambers at the municipal building. Is there any additions to the agenda, Councillor Susan? Councillor Rosser? No. Mayor Murphy? No. Councillor Buckle? And I don't have any either. Perfect. Is there any pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? No. Seeing none. Could I just have a confirmation of the agenda, please? Sure. Thank you. Could I have approval of the minutes from the committee meeting of September 6, 2022? Perfect. All those in favor? Great. Okay. Perfect. So we'll move on to the delegation. I'll let Mayor Murphy introduce the delegation.
Thank you, Councillor Patrick. I want to welcome our brand new CAO, Craig Kelly. I don't know if any of you have met Craig in his previous lives, but we're really excited. We had our first F&A meeting today with Craig giving his first administration report. Next to him is Taylor Hanrath, one of our acting manager of infrastructure at the county, and next to him is Lee Perkins, the Director of Public Works. So welcome, gentlemen. I'll open the floor up. I want to say, just before you start, it is not my intention to admonish any member of the staff of the County of Renfrew, but I do believe that this council and our residents deserve to hear directly from yourselves with regard to Highway 512. So I will turn this over to you.
Yeah, I'll just open it and I'll let the gentleman take over. Thank you very much, Mayor, and to Councillor Patrick for hosting today's meeting. It's obviously getting out and speaking with all councils is nice. We did it by Zoom not too long ago, but it's finally nice to be actually in person, and we hope to be doing more of this. Originally asked by the mayor to attend, which is great. Of course, we are always working on communication. I think you'll hear that again today. It's been a challenging couple of years and a challenging year to get infrastructure projects going and under budget and on time and all these other things that we're all suffering as municipalities. But again, happy to be here and happy that these gentlemen will be here to explain the project a little further and where we're at and how we'll move forward with the.
Yeah, so again, thank you very much for having us here. We'll definitely take some questions. So actually, we're talking about Point Mountain Road today. One thing that we got to make clear right off the bat is without Mayor Murphy's help, we wouldn't be where we are now because she pushed really hard on both myself and Taylor and the utility. So as you may know, we had some troubles purchasing land throughout the year. Once we did get the land in place, that's when we could go back to Hydro and Bell and say the land is in place. And of course, Hydro and Bell had all kinds of excuses why they couldn't go forward and why. So anyways, this is where we are right now. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get that. As it sits right now, we won't be able to get that job started this year because there's so many utility relocates that need to be done in that quarter. So we do apologize.
Yeah, if I may, I'll just expand on these and thank you all for having us here today. So the original plan was to reconstruct from Birch Road to County Structure B257 Carrington Creek Bridge this year. The plan was to have Bell and Hydro start at that end and work their way past Birch Road so that we could reconstruct that section of road. Unfortunately, due to the delays that have happened with the post cut clearing and the layouts that have had that occur, we can't proceed with the reconstruction this year. We are discussing with Hydro and Bell the potential of them moving the utilities all the way from the structure to Miller Road so that next year we can reconstruct the entirety of the section of road rather than do it in 2 phases going forward. That is our hope moving forward. It just depends on the timeline of the utility locations at this time.
And at this point, that would be ideal because although the western end is the worst part and a couple of the corners are terrible, no, I think that entire section needs to be done immediately, if not sooner. And I've said this to both of you. This is it's no surprise to you. I've said it at this table. I said it to Hydro One and Bell Canada that these delays are unacceptable. I still feel that way. I don't believe that the people of Bonnechere Valley that travel that road daily deserve to have to drive. I drove it many times over the past couple of weeks. I was doing 40 I do appreciate some of the cold patch or hot patch that you put down. Unfortunately, there's still, I don't know what you call it on those corners, but it's like waves, extremely dangerous. I held your feet to the fire for a reason, and I think that you've seen the detriment that it's the deterioration, sorry, that it's even taken over the last couple of months. And so I would hope that this is a solid promise to the people of Bonnechere Valley, and even those living in Broodnell, Lindock that travel that road all the time. I would hope that this is a promise for 2023, and there will not be any more delays, and sort of an insistence that this is a priority project for the county of Brantford.
I guess the only just question I had was just on so for confirmation from, I guess, the main utilities, which is Bell and Hydro, when are you hoping to have an expected timeline from them? Like, it's gonna be probably most likely this fall, or it's gonna be this spring?
Thank you, Councillor Patrick. So I have an email out to them right now. We're in discussions on what they can work with. They're currently doing their stakeouts for the full relocations. There might be some trimming that they'll have to do before the actual relocations begin, but they're commencing, they're not waiting on anything else from us at this point. They're going to commence on that.
Okay.
Once we have that timeline, we'll confirm.
Brave.
You're echoing.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess the only, more 1 sec,
Yeah, I was just through there a while ago. Looks like it started doing some clearing, or is that clearing and maybe a little bit of grubbing here and there? Is that ready?
Yes, so our close cut clearing contract has completed, and now that allows Hydro and Bell to come in and do their stakeouts pretty forward.
Yeah.
Councillor Sisson.
Well, I have a couple questions. Does anybody know, I don't have the information, but when was the last time the surface was redone on Plymouth Road, or previously known as Highway 512? Does anybody have a rough idea when that was done?
I would have to check our records for that section.
The other thing I was asked was, and of course, it's just so I can answer residents when they do approach me with it, because of the deterioration and how bad that road has been, I would say for at least 10 years. It's been almost to the point where it is now. Why couldn't that road just have been resurfaced was what I've been asked, instead of readjusting, because I had also asked our fire chief for previous records of at different points in time, if there had been any accidents on any of the corners that had to be done, because of course for us usually to do, you know, realignments and stuff, there usually has to be issues. And now we have utilities that have to be relocated in order to compensate for the corners that are to be addressed as problems. But my question is, why couldn't it have been just resurfaced within the 66 feet of road lines? Was there a big reason or cause for that?
So as part of our road inspection procedure, which we attempt to inspect half the county roads each year. It was flagged for the alignment issues that were occurring. So we have a ball bank indicator in our inspection vehicle, and whenever it gets red flagged on certain corners, we'll bring in a consultant to review the road, and they'll advise us whether it meets the design speed for the posted speed. And this one was flagged, didn't meet the requirements for 80 kilometers per hour. So it was requiring the realignment so that in the lifespan of the road, we won't have to come back to do that reconstruction over again. In the future, it would be the mill and paves, so overlays, the bars and paves, less of the property purchase and the realignment. It's preemptive so that we don't have accidents in the future as well.
And how much wider? It's going to be the same width as the previous track, correct?
Correct. Overall, the
So-
platform will be similar. There'll be paved shoulders present. I believe 1 meter paved shoulders on each side, and then a 1/2 meter granular shoulder. But some of the corners that were a little tight will be realigned slightly to reach that 80 kilometers per hour design speed.
And that meter extra shoulder, that's going to really give the pedestrians and bicycles an extra spot there. I know. I travel the road very routinely and I see it now in the summertime. It's a very heavily utilized tourist area as well. So it's a bonus and I appreciate that answer. That was a great answer for sure.
Councilor Rosner.
Yeah, I have one question there, just a little bit of a follow-up. You guys were talking about the road there. I'm just wondering, you're saying you're gonna have enough time in your schedule to incorporate and do the complete road? Is that because this road that was gonna be done this year, you've taken it and now you can fill this full road in your schedule so that we're not gonna all of a sudden realize you're cramping your schedule for next year, because I'm sure you have budgeting along the way. Is that how that's going to work? Or
Right now, we've got a capital reserve. They've actually changed how we do our monies. So next year, actually, we may receive some economy of scale by putting these two jobs together, right? Because that money from this year just slides right into next year.
If I can quickly address that, sorry, Taylor, is obviously we work on an asset management plan, right? As we all do. So without having it in front of me, my guess is probably 15 to 20 years ago is likely the life of that road. It's probably the last time it was done, but we have to get that for you as well. But to Lee's point, that next section would have been in the 2023 or 2024 plan, and we're just doing it all at say it once again because of economies of scale. I just don't know how we'll work. And it's a minute detail of how we work on the tendering and all the other things, but we'll work.
No, I was more concerned about the timing, because it's a certain amount of time that you're gonna have the time allocated, because if we're telling our residents that it's all gonna be done next year, and then all of a sudden we get jammed, oh, you guys don't have enough time to do it, so we only want to do one section. I'm assuming that you've allocated the time appropriately to do the complete road next year.
So I'll add as well, so because it's a reconstruction project, we have consultants that take on the design for us, who also look after the contract administration and the construction supervision. So it's less of a taking time away from the staff. Yes, we have to monitor the project, and we still keep tabs on it to make sure that everything's being built to county standards. But as far as boots on the ground, we'll have a consultant that's going to be the boots on the ground supervising the project to make sure it all goes to spec as well. It will still be a substantial project for any contract.
And I didn't want to answer Tim's question about when it was last done, but we moved here in 2000, and I think you're very close, Craig. I think that was done maybe in 2005. It wasn't long after we moved here. Maybe 2003.
I think I can remember seeing the paving crew there in 20 years ago.
Well, I think that's specific.
Yeah.
So we can get.
No, but yes, I thought it was done just after we moved here, not long.
I guess the only really question I had would just be that from our township and our council, how can we help support you guys in trying to get this project moving forward even more with utility companies or anything?
Well, again, we got to thank Mayor Murphy, because she did go forward with letters as well as our warden to try to push the utility companies a little harder. But, yeah.
And I want to thank the media for making sure that
Yes.
the word unacceptable was, I believe, in capitals and bold. And
also-
both utility companies read that loud and clear, and when they found, I didn't pull any punches, just like I'm not pulling any punches today. I told both people, and I will say that the lead has sort of been on the hydro side, and they're keeping an eye on Bell. And I speak to that representative about once every 2 weeks. She's very disappointed, but I think that they understand that this, it's just gone beyond where it should have gone.
And having foresight to ask for a speed reduction last year is getting really good on the part as well. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Councillor, I think what we will endeavor to do is actually help your municipality. I think it's just because of different forces that were happening and the speed at which this changes were occurring, is that we will endeavor to communicate with you and your staff here at the municipality when substantive changes are happening or have been made or delays. So you are kept aware of it, and you can relay that to your ratepayers should those questions come up. I think that's important. We try to get ahead of that this time. This one again was a bit of a slight miss. We just again, things advanced quicker than we thought before we were able to contact and talk to the mayor and your staff to say that there were substantial delays in this project.
Well, and I mean, I did ask every time I was at county, but every answer I got was sort of a, well, we're waiting on the property owners. Now we're waiting on that. Now we're waiting on, and so it got to be more than frustrating. And I sort of, I think that I rested easy thinking that at least the western end, which is probably the worst part of it, was going to be done this year. And I think that if I had been communicated with, that would have made things a little easier. I make sure that this council knows what's going on at county, and obviously this is an enormous project for Bonnechere Valley. Thank you.
Was there any other questions from council? Well, thanks a lot for coming in. Any other comments from you guys? Good. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a meeting tonight as well?
We could.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked to the Rio Center. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you all.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
I think your quotes are lead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. There you go. Take care, boss. Thank you.
See you next Wednesday.
Yes.
We have that Kevin over
We did.
He's coming.
Kevin, how are you?
I know.
Okay, Kevin, walk us through your report.
With the arena, general maintenance, saw a picture of our new half ton there, so
Yeah.
it looks pretty sharp.
I met you, coming back with a. From Renfrew?
Yeah.
Last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I wasn't driving.
no, okay.
I already had comments about it. So I'm trying to explain that our hand-me-down program in the municipality.
First day of minor hockey was on Saturday there and, good attendance. Everybody was, happy to get back and, to normal and, went very well. Our figure skating program is starting up to, junior B next Friday night to home opener. So, that's moving forward. Brisbane minor hockey is here because they're doing the same work that we did in 2017. So we're accommodating all the ice time as possible. But, our net zero program, they're going to be coming up here in October to do a site meeting for the equipment and see what direction we're heading in. And work Annette and with the Ryan Leonard, the owner of the Intervene, working on a contract for 1 year for both the ice contract and also working on the canteen contract. They're interested in money, so. Overall general maintenance, Centennial Park, grass cutting. Vandalism has slowed down. It's not totally gone yet, but it's still there, but it's not extreme anymore. The village, the new gates on the bridge looks good, very good. And a tour group is closed down for the season now. We had a volunteer come in on the Labor Day weekend and run it sporadically, like 10 on 2 kind of deals. So, yes.
So you have the washrooms closed down too?
No, they're on timers. And so the washroom itself is still open.
But it's for the plant, right? If I have guys at the plant, I'm just wondering if the washrooms are still open.
Yeah, and how long?
Well, I don't know. I have a guy doing maintenance over in the next couple of weeks. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I can touch base with you.
It's gonna stay open until after the Labor Day or Thanksgiving long.
Okay.
Legion Field, we have the plant sale, up there. Splash pad we got down this month. Taste of the Valley, great success. Could have more vendors, but we were happy what we had, and they seemed very happy with their.
I wonder, Kevin, now the Taste of the Valley, I was there. What are your, I know nobody has a crystal ball, but now that this is our first posting of it. I wonder if word will get out, maybe for next year, to have a few more vendors. Is that your feel of it? Do you think that there may be more coming?
I would think so. I think we had a couple last minute dropouts that we would have had a few more, would have made it somewhat of a difference, but it would have been a little fuller. But it was a great day.
I think that because this is a county event, that perhaps we should be nudging the county months before to say, hey, you know, we had about 1,000 people come in 2022. And so, you know, what can we do to bring more vendors?
Absolutely, because I've been to others in throughout the county.
Yeah.
And if we could get a few more of those other vendors that are at the other county events throughout, you know,
Definitely.
it'll be definitely an asset. A few more coming out, because that's what makes it, right?
What did make me very happy was to hear that some of the vendors actually sold out.
Oh, absolutely.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The thing I did hear from some of the vendors is more signage.
Yes.
That's one thing I did hear from the response from them, said just more.
Because it was,
Just gonna get a couple more.
we'll wait. Yeah, just because the signs were the farmers market signs with just the extended hours. So, yeah. But again, county should have some of that stuff.
That was, yes.
Yeah.
On the county plate.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, no, it was great. I'm glad to see the people there. I'd love to be able to, you know, come up with something to even help improve it. That's all.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's an annual event.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I think now that we have it.
That's right. No, and that's
Yeah.
right. And keep it going, right? So,
And we can build from it, like you say.
absolutely.
But I think you also lost a few vendors that morning because
Yeah,
of storms
it was a
that
lot.
rolled through.
Rain
Yeah.
and storming that day for sure.
Bob Pelzer had the two of the launch here. He had 100 entries. It was just,
That was incredible.
Incredible.
Did you see them?
well, I saw the parking lot and I said, oh my
Oh.
God.
You should have seen them cycling.
Yeah.
It was spectacular. Did you guys get a photo of that, Debbie?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, my gosh. It was quite the event.
And the curling rink, they're up there working on it. They got some of the demolition has started. I don't think it's totally completed, but the ceiling tile on that, the inside. And I just have some pictures of the new half ton and the ice surface.
Yep.
I'll move on to Dana's report.
I just wanted to say, excuse me, I had a call from a resident from Cormac, and they were very happy to see. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you are aware of this. But the stumps are pulled in Cormac Park, so
Yeah,
said
that
thank you
was-
very much right away.
That was last Thursday or Friday. It just happened, the machine were up in that corner, so I said, now's the time, and away we went.
It worked out well, and did you have a look at some of the stumps for the actual amount of times that they have been nudged? Like,
Not recently, Ken.
but they have been, so
Yes,
you can see
absolutely.
that they have been an issue, so it's nice to see them gone, for sure.
No, it'll, definitely they were quite sizable too, Jason was saying. When we took it out. This
Yeah, I drove by when they were full.
quite a root system. So, well, no, they're good, they're gone now.
Good,
So.
good.
Okay, Dana's report to zoning, I'm gonna touch base on that. We're all aware of that. In the community development report, newsletter going out. You will are reading a community development group, have a meeting, have another one in October. Dana and Annette were up at a meeting the last couple of days, tourism strategy, so it's brainstorming, so it was.
I went, it was good. I went to one of the sessions, yeah.
Music in the park is all done. We had a great turnout, a couple, well, other than, at least 4 or 5 rain days on Wednesday, but other than that, we're Friday night. But
Music at the Eagles Nest.
that's very good. Everything else, the Santa Council, which we're wrapping up shortly. Veterans Way banner. Couple things is the Santa Claus parade. That is going to be on December the 11th, 1 p.m. start. And they're already moving everything in the parking lot, so we'll do the tree lighting on the December the 2nd.
Oh.
That Friday night, and the lights on the bridge and everything will be done at that time, so we have it all.
So we're gonna continue from the air arena rather than the school, again, this year?
Yes, overall response, it worked out well. And we'll sort of see how the scheduling is for hockey, but I don't foresee an issue. Like, we just blocked that parking lot off, and they're only there for maybe 2 hours, like 10:30 till 1, and it's on. kind of.
Well, last year's staging worked fine.
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty seamless, so it worked all right
So-
there.
Rotary actually said it was easier than the school.
Maybe it would be, yeah, so,
And
I guess they could see everybody,
okay.
so that's the feedback I got.
yeah, no, that's kind of nothing. We'll just watch on our scheduling. Only really a couple. We could have maybe a couple games, but we'll just have the parking lot on the other side and do that side. Perfect, open, so that shouldn't be a big issue. Since we're on the Christmas mode, Christmas dinner. I sort of penciled an Eagles Nest for December the 3rd, the Saturday night. So, anyways, we're reaching out to caterers right now. We haven't did this since 2019. So there's a substantial jump in cost for the ribs.
Yeah.
So, that's something we can able to talk about it.
Well, bring us some numbers, then I guess we'll have to.
Yeah.
Just rough figuring, 2019 was $20.75 a plate. And we had 191 plates. Overall consensus right now, you're going to be 25 to 30 plus, and depends what you're looking for. I haven't got quotes back yet, but I went to a few local, let's try to keep it local, and that's where we are, where it's going to be 30.
Well, that's not hard to believe because a Happy Meal today is $10. So,
Not least.
I don't know why it's so happy.
Tim has to buy 2.
So
I have 2 kids.
Yeah, no, I meant 2 for you.
So I'll get some quotes,
Yeah.
and we'll bring them back.
Yeah, it's hard to decide on
Yeah.
anything without it.
And give us what the options are, right?
Ernie.
Depending on the quotes, like different types of meals.
Yeah, in 2019, we had turkey and ham and all the fixing with cheesecake and donuts. And so,
Yeah, those donuts.
Right? Yes.
They're responsible for the air capacity in the seat.
And the application, Dana's been filling out applications and waiting for some reports back, and you'll see the funding for the one out. You put an application for that too, so we'll see how we fare with that. Anyways,
Remember.
2 things, just under community development. I just want the Bonashir Youth Action Committee. The scavenger hunt is in Centennial Park, starting at 1 o'clock on Saturday, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. We have some photo challenges, and we have some things that the kids can go and look for. And next Saturday, on October the 1st at 1 o'clock, we have the official opening of our Truth and Reconciliation Garden. And we will have a smudging ceremony, and we're hoping to find somebody to tell the stories of the 7 grandfathers or grandmothers. So I hope people will come out and join us.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for Kevin? Perfect. Kevin,
Run, Kevin.
have yourself a good day.
You too, thank you.
Don't
get it done-
don't put it in that new truck.
Yeah. That's a
Get-
good fight.
Get the first dent in it, and
Don't
then you
put
don't have
that
to
out
worry
there.
about that, right?
You're better to walk over and give it a boot than it's already there.
Then you don't cry when it happens.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Daryl.
Earl,
Noon,
oh, you need some air in your seat there.
pull the lever up.
There you go.
Raise.
Boost your seat.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead there, Daryl.
So we'll start with the monthly building report. Um, Numbers are definitely down. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's just quiet, got real quiet. I do have a lot sitting in my box that I've got ready to go. I'm just waiting for some information and then I can release them. So this month is already, I think I've already surpassed August, but we'll see how it goes. I can't control it.
Well, I guess the tough thing is finding someone to actually quote it or do the job, right? And then you can put your permanent off it.
That's what I'm hearing. It's hard to even get some guys that are 2 years out.
Well, 100%
Yeah.
or more. And the thing is, it's like not a lot like ordering windows, you're still 27 weeks most of the time, right? So
I think that, I asked that question of one of the contractors and they said, I think it's getting a little quicker, but not a lot.
they're giving you like an ETA now and
Yeah.
it's pretty consistent. Like interior doors, I think they're still about 4 to 6 weeks, and then special order was like 10 to 12. But
The 27 weeks is half a year
yeah,
for
one
external.
one project in Bancroft, the foundation just went in and the windows are ordered. So that's like probably
Wow.
6 months, right? But no, I think that's probably would be more to do with the skill training. I think it might just be a busy spring. So
Could be. That's all right. Oh. So then I will be attending our annual meeting. All the CBOs across the province get together. It's be the first one in since 2019. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We have workshops and technical sessions and just a lot of networking trade show. So this year's in Hamilton. The last one I was at Blue Mountain. So I don't think I'd go any farther than Kitchener. I think that'd be my cutoff, because the next one might be in London, and I think that's getting it's a bit of a stretch, unless you guys want to fly me down there.
It might be cheaper than driving.
It might be cheaper driving, so. So like I said, I'm looking forward to that. I can't, I'm leaving on Sunday the 2nd, and it runs till Thursday, so.
thanks.
So we'll move on to bylaw. So I've had an issue with this one particular gentleman, and I finally reached my limit. And I did issue a bunch of Provincial Offences Act certificates to him. And I went by last week and it looks like he hasn't done anything, but I see now stuff has been moved around again. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. They are in the system. I did run them up to the courts. So if he decides not to pay for them, then when he goes to renew his driver's license or his deer license or hunting or fishing, whatever, he can't get it until the fines are paid. So I'm just gonna keep monitoring it. I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I give him enough time and he just kept ignoring me, so. The end of my.
I don't know whether, I don't think whether we did it or not. The town should go ahead and clean it up and put the bill on his tax bill.
It eventually will probably have to come to that, but
I don't know if we've ever did it now. I don't recall as long as I've been on.
I'd rather not go down that.
it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, it'd be
Yes.
better if the township probably went outside, so they're not, they might stay away from it, but third party.
Not to get into the specifics or whatever, but what exactly were like violations of?
He had construction debris that was just laying all over the yard. He had construction like apparatus that was real close to the sidewalk if somebody ever tripped and fell. You know, it was just an unkept yard. So, and I give this gentleman enough notices. No, unfortunately, I knew him when I was down in Greater Madawaska, and he was what I was told was telling everybody that all him and I went way back. So it was like he figured I was gonna be lenient, but. Everybody has to draw a line in the sand somewhere, so.
And then that causes an issue if you're going to start getting the township involved cleaning up, because what sort of timeline do you give for this individual and for that individual? So
Yeah.
I think it's better for the township to.
Yeah.
Stay that done.
Right, that's when I issue my letter, I always do a timeline, and I can keep following up, so.
Yeah, I think you've used the tools in your toolbox.
So we'll move on again. So I have been, I received one call about the dogs at the Legion Field. So I did go up there one morning and I sat there. And I did talk to people, and I went up one evening and some people came in and I approached them and I told them who I was, and I told them what was, the dogs are not permitted here. There's a dog run on John Street and gave them the address. But I still think it's an issue, and I guess I'm gonna have to spend more time up there. Maybe, we do a morning stint or an evening stint.
I had talked with some of the people that actually use it as a dog park up there, and I said, it's really not acceptable. And they refused to listen to that as an answer to me as well. So whatever steps that have to be taken, and
I would like to maybe change some of the signage up there, because one of them does state that
certain month.
certain months there's.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that was brought to my attention as well, and that's, I believe, it's either it is or it isn't, and I think we should be just, because we do have an off-leash dog park now.
Yeah.
There's really no sense of having a horse or dog park up there.
So if I change the signage out and put on the bylaw number, so because that's the way it should be, and then that way if they're up there. If I'm up there and I issue a warning for the first time, I make note of who they are, take their driver's license or their plate, and if they're back again, then unfortunately you're not listening. So here's your fine. I don't know, maybe when the word gets out, people will stop taking their animals up there. I mean, it is what it is.
And there is a concern, of course, with people that have their dogs in their backyards. And they're fully fenced in, but dogs are coming up to the fence, and so that I wouldn't want that with my dogs. So I think that, the new signage, let's try it. That's the best we can do, yeah.
And I'm not sure if everybody's actually cleaning up after their animals.
No, that's,
Scoop,
Yeah.
scoop,
Yeah,
scoop part doesn't
Are
ever.
we getting complaints on that quite regularly?
no,
Like on a
not,
weekly basis or?
not regularly. I think you might be getting more than I am.
I've been hearing a few for sure.
So I don't know if.
And the last one actually was of a horse. A
Yes,
horse
Yes.
it said that.
up on the field, and I didn't think we had to resort to putting up no horse signs up on,
Well, where does it end?
well,
no goats, no sheep.
no,
Basically, no animals.
Yeah.
no animals whatsoever unless it's a service animal.
So I don't know if council, if you receive phone calls, if you want to direct them to me,
Yeah,
I think that would be the.
I did direct one to you.
So I think if with the permission of rest of council, if we cleaned up the signage that doesn't,
Yeah.
doesn't have any kind of gray area in it. That'd be a good start, and work on it from there.
And I guess the provisions up there is the main like issue, is that more in relation to like off leash or on leash? Like you're allowed to have your dog on leash. Right?
Yeah, when I see them, the lady I talked to up there, she was just exercising her dog.
Yeah.
But it was off leash, so you're right, if you're walking your dog, I can't see that, but they're off leash.
No.
And a lot of people are letting them go out there to relieve themselves,
Mhm.
so.
The
Well, it's
only
always
complaints I've had are off leash.
Yeah.
People walking their dogs on leash. No problem at all.
Well, you can't.
They-
say
they
anything
understand,
about-
it's
you really
part-
can't say anything
yeah.
On leash.
Well, nowadays you can get the cords that extend out.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Huge amounts.
So I don't know if the signage maybe speaks to that, or if it doesn't, other signs you're gonna get huge. right?
So my question is, so if you're, and just clear it up for me, because this is gonna get asked to me in the future. So if basically when you're in care of your dog, then with the leash, if you're sitting on a saddle of a horse, does that make a difference then? Because technically you're on the saddle of a horse, right? So. It's not like they're going up there letting them out running, but they're running on the field and it tears up the field, and
Mhm.
so you kind of have to. As either animals are permitted on the fields or are they not? Like outside in the parking lot, I really don't care, but.
But I mean,
But-
people
but
bring
is
their dogs to watch their kids play soccer, people bring their dogs to.
But they're not going on the field itself or in
No,
on the
no.
ball diamonds and in the caged areas, right? That's where I think we have to draw the line, so, you know. What
So
what is it?
no animals on field is what you're saying.
Well, and that's it, because if you're walking your dog or whatever on the side of, basically it's a thoroughfare right through.
Yeah.
That's never an issue as well as our sidewalks or our roads
Yeah.
or whatever it may be.
As long
It's
as they
the
keep us-
fields themselves that are the issue, right? So. That nobody wants to have their kids playing in
Right,
dog doo-doo and horse or whatever it may be, right? So I think it's just no animals permitted within this boundaries of this area with that, not to clean it up.
Is that not posted though on the fields? The signs are entering to the field, aren't that where is that where the signs are?
One is at the field down by the back of the curling club, and there's two over at the ball diamonds. One at the baseball field and one at the soccer.
Right on the edge of the field, going into that field.
gives a whole new meaning to sliding in the third. It was right there. It was right there, people.
So I'll start with signage,
Yeah.
and I'll have to spend some time up there, I guess, and see. I mean,
Well,
fall's
I
coming.
guess my question may like on an annual basis, like so far this year, how many complaints have we received?
I've received two. And I don't know, you know.
That's all I'm saying, like, we have no problem. with it.
Okay, I've
had 4.
you
had
four?
two.
Okay,
And I've had at least 4.
all right. So I've only had two come to me, so I guess
I assume one of those was one of mine.
it's possible.
Yeah, I
I think it was the same persons both times. They live right up there.
okay.
So if they signage, it makes the most sense.
Yeah. I know we put something in the last newsletter, but it was just a small little.
Yeah,
It was a last minute thing and
it's better if it's right there
Yeah.
for people to see.
yeah.
The thing is, for extra, you know, you just click your file and therefore it goes out 20 feet, not all the signs.
All right, we'll move on to animal control. So the last report I received, there were 5 dogs in the pound and I did go out and confirm it. So
All Venture Valley or were they from different areas?
that I do not know. But maybe that's all for the recording that comes in, that will have to be specified.
It will be easier in giving us numbers in the future.
Okay. And as for parking, there's been no issues.
Great.
Nothing anywhere. I mean, I think still monitoring up on top there of the churches and there's nothing out at our favorite spot. So it's been good. I'm not sure. Either no one's calling it in or people are finally figuring it out.
Good, all good.
And with the action items and that, I met with Tammy regarding the status of the dog pound, and I believe that's up for discussion later. Yeah. And that's all I have. So do you have any questions for me?
Perfect, well, have yourself a great day there, girl.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Darrell.
Take care.
See ya.
Annette? We'll turn the meeting over to you and your report.
So in the report are the August financial statements. If there was any questions on any items in there in particular that we were taking away, so nothing, no crazy expenses. We've had some come in that are, you know, machines that break, and then, but then we have some savings because we're trying to hang on to employees and it's balancing itself out all right so far. I will be out of the office working Thursday and Friday, so I'm going to Blue Mountains and presenting for financial female leaders in the province of Ontario. So I'm doing a presentation on Friday morning there to the Municipal Finance Officers Association. And tomorrow I'm going to be meeting with the owners of the Okanagan Mountain Resort. So I will report back in October to council to let you know how that discussion went. Tranquility Bay, so I was in conversation with Barry O'Reilly, and I also reached out to the Algonquin Pacific Okanagan just because they're neighbors there, and then if any work was going to get started or anything was gonna get done, or if they read it in the paper, I wanted to, you know, at least reach out to them and have a conversation so they understood what process we went through. We had a great chat about it all, and they definitely want to work with us and work with them and improve access to the recreation trails in the area. So they're, you know, on board with what's been proposed, and they're gonna try and see if there's something else that they can contribute to as well. They're looking at building some walking trails and things like that. So even in addition to it, so that conversation was great. The mayor already talked about truth and reconciliation and the garden. The curling club, Kevin touched on that as well about the accessibility renovations. So I think all of the demolition's been done, and now they're building it back up. So I'm excited to see how that all goes when we go in the curling club. And the sand shed construction, I'm sure Jason will touch on that again in October, but it continues to be going well, and Kevin and Jason are managing those projects. So we did discuss on September the 12th, we had a special meeting to discuss possible offer to lease land adjacent to the Fourth Street Road for Multistream. I did reach out to Multistream, and they weren't able to get back to me for this meeting, but maybe for the October meeting, we'll have an answer from them that council can discuss.
Oh,
Councilor Schuler.
well, I just had a quick question as regard to the lease and stuff that's being discussed. I did drive by there again this morning, and they still have a sign up that said that one that was in the Eagle Leader. And I'm just wondering if council would maybe ask or can give direction to ask as to why that is still kind of up as to this day, because as we all know, we've never been offered that lease until we've seen the sign in the Eagle Leader, and it's probably a good idea to remove it at this point in time. It's because we know it's inaccurate, right? It hasn't been, I don't think, a very good way to start a business proposition with council, but yeah.
Sure, I can definitely reach out and ask them if they would remove it, so that, you know, as we're negotiating, we can start
Maybe.
on good terms.
Yeah, maybe on the right foot, absolutely. That'd be super.
Well, to negotiate in good faith.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can do that. So the IV vehicle charging stations was on the last agenda, and we postponed it because we ran out of time at the last meeting. So you have the presentation in your packages, but I just did a little bit more digging when we're meeting with Ivy. So it's a charging station, but it has two plugins, right? One for a Tesla and one for every other type of electric charging vehicle on it. The cost is about $340 a month. I think that's the more expensive one, the quicker charge.
Yes,
There
it
was a
is.
cheaper one as well, which I think was $220, $240, something like that. So I did reach out to some local municipalities in Eastern Ontario to just try to that have these and say, you know, like, what kind of revenue are you seeing? And so, you know, in the high season, in the summer, it was about $140 per month. We do have the two provincial highways traveling through. The IV is the same charging station that's used by the en routes and stuff. So we'd be on all of those maps. So right now, you know, I don't know how much we would probably be operating, or we would be operating at a loss
Yes.
for the time being, because there's just not that many electric vehicles out there right now. But we know that there's a push on to have more and more on the roads. So depending on where that goes, the two benefits I see would be on some mapping, which is going to have people in electric cars, you know, seeing us on the app and go, let's go through Eganville because we can stop there and charge. So that's, you know, that's really where I see the most benefit at this point in time. Like, it's not like we're going to make revenue off the charging station, but it would put us on the map for that. And then maybe as people get used to coming through here, maybe that benefits the businesses. I'm not sure. So that's the proposal. And I think they're like for life, right? It's like $200 to $300 a month per life of the machine. So if the machine gets broken or it doesn't work anymore, they replace it. So it's not, you know, we would never have to worry about it. They would maintain it and they would replace it and it would be there for people to use. So, that's.
Council
there for
decision.
council.
So I have a couple issues with us as a municipality providing that service. I've looked across Renfrew County, and we have them at Metro, but we don't have them, but they have them at Metro, and they are offering them as in Renfrew as a free service, basically to be an attractant to their store. And I believe Canadian Tire does basically the same. I'm not sure what their charging rate is for per use. I do know there is one over in Haggerty and Richards by the old train track there right beside Benny Felsky shoe store. They charge $2.50 per session. So they're on the, believe on the municipal end, and we have the private, or they're not on the municipal end.
Okay, so
I seen there was a government of Canada stamp on it.
so they have an
I have a
agreement
picture of.
with their hydro generator. That it comes
Okay.
with. So you're close.
Okay,
It is on municipal property.
right,
But the municipality doesn't pay for the hydro,
Okay.
but they don't get the revenue.
okay.
It goes right back to the hydro producer. So just. so
Okay,
that
no,
you know,
that's
yeah.
great.
And Whitewater Brewery has two, but they're specific to Teslas.
But so that was the other thing. I had discussion with some Tesla people. They don't think there's enough people in this area for it. The other thing where I was at the first part of my discussion was in the event it does become an attractant, I would much rather have that opportunity go to a business that's located within Bonnechere Valley, so that we're not taking that chance from them, because right now when you go into your grocery shopping at Metro, right, you can plug your car in and that's a bonus to get the people there. It's like the gasoline at the service stations. The gas isn't where they make the money. It's off the snacks and confectionery and stuff like that. So I don't want to remove that opportunity from future investment or development of a business as well.
I'd like to speak to it as well. Go ahead,
Merv, and then
Well,
Amber.
I'm kind of going to speak to Tim's. I think we're too early yet. I think we're maybe a couple of years away from getting it worthwhile. I haven't seen an electric car in Eganville. I've seen one in Barry's Bay. And
We do have.
I see a tremendous amount of electric cars out there now. I'm under
fully
a lot.
electric or?
Yes, yeah, if you look, once you start seeing them, you can't unsee them.
Right.
And there's a pile of those green license plates all over the place now. And Tesla, I don't know how come there's so many Teslas out there, but it's an incredible amount of, I see Teslas every day now.
And we had one pass our house on Foymount Road going towards Foymount, and Dave said, uh-oh, I wonder how far they're gonna get, because I'm assuming the next charging station wouldn't be till Bancroft. But I guess the Teslas, they have
Mayor Murphy, you're gonna speak to it.
Yes, so obviously, Annette and I were the ones that met with Ivy through Hydro One, because we were looking for grants, etc. When they were presenting, I listened intently, and then I went back and I read the information. And there are a couple of things. Number one, $340 a month, even though they would be responsible, it would be owned by them. Seems like an inordinate amount of money, considering that we will reap the revenue, but we still have to pay Hydro One for the hydro. So it's a sort of a false economy when you're saying, okay, we'll make, and I really appreciate this, Annette, you're saying $140 a month. What is it going to cost us with hydro to produce that $140 a month? So there were a couple of issues I had with this proposal. Do I think that it's important for the future? I absolutely do. But I also think that Shell Canada is looking into them and is trying to broadcast them across Ontario. So I have spoken with the owner of Shell. Unfortunately, right now, they're pretty expensive, but we're looking into it. The other thing is that there are level 2 chargers that are about $2,000 to $2,500. they could be put at the tourist booth, like you put one, it's got the two plugins. Put it at the tourist booth, do proof of concept, and then hopefully maybe our grocery store or a restaurant or another gas station might also invest in one. That being said, I now see this as a budget item for the following council in 2023. I think that we're late in the cycle. I do not, after reviewing this, I don't like this model. And I think that it's lovely that they'll take control of it, but I still have a problem with the math.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, my kind of comments on it were, like, I would love for it to go to private, like some form of private business. But most importantly, I was kind of looking at if it made sense, if we're able to, say, if we did get a grant for it that actually increased our amount of parking availability, like in the downtown core. Be it like by the tourist booth or by our neighboring EGC that's there as well, like if there's some kind of proposal that actually adds to the parking, we get additional funds for it, and it's just and then at that point, we can look at and see if it makes sense, if, say, we gain 8 parking spots, 10 parking spots, and we get 2 EV stations out, that's kind of how I was more looking at it. I think it is good attraction. I guess my question is for council, for a response to more. Were we presented to Ivy, or is this more just an information gathering?
No, because Annette and I had a delegation with
Yeah.
Hydro. They reached back out to us and brought in one of their partners,
Okay,
who is Ivy, who presented this to Annette and I. That's why the presentation is in your package.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, the only reason I say the tourist booth is that I sort of thought that it would help all of our downtown businesses. And so that's the only reason I mentioned that location.
But there again, we're kind of slow getting out of not slow, but it's slow getting out of the gate in our
Agreed.
area. Parking is at a premium here, as we all know, going through on a weekend in the summer now, and both sides are full, so Brent hit a nail right on the head when he said about the parking spaces as well, to maybe help expand or do something. I don't know where we would put them. But the thing is, if you have to designate a parking spot, to electric vehicles only and leave that charging spot open, we're gonna lose 1 or 2 maybe parking spots for someone without, because it is a tight.
Lose two.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, right? So you're losing 2 parking spots for someone who may be able to shop with a gas vehicle downtown.
Right.
That's the only thing. We have to make sure and look at all the options before, going ahead.
And then you have the issue of people parking there with gas vehicles.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
It happens everywhere.
And then what are you gonna do? The electric car comes and you can't do anything.
It happened at
Yeah.
the Weston Hotel. So when you drive into the Weston, on this side is the valet parking, on this side are the electric chargers. There were lots of vehicles on this side that were gas. So, I mean, the other thing is enforcement. I think we can put this idea to bed. Once I did the math, I did not like it. I think that there are other ways to do this, but I also think it would be something for next year. Because
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I have no problem, like, something next year, a different model or anything.
Yeah.
I think, I'd be more curious if it goes hand in hand with, instead of taking the parking spots, see if we do have additional spots we can put it at. Be it like, these things, you can just look at you can look at downtown core and figure out, okay, where can we actually add? It might just take a work, but will it actually offset? So right now, it'd be negative, say, $250 a month with the system if you want the short.
Or more.
Or more, just based on what other townships were.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I look at it. If we gain parking spots plus the EV parking, then that's great. It just depends on, I guess, what grants come up, something that we can say no to when the time comes, so.
Well, and I do believe that the province of Ontario, through the Ministry of Energy, they are saying that they're gonna roll them out. I don't know how quickly they'll roll them out, but I have reached out to the Ministry of Energy about it, so I made sure,
The problem in this province is distance. That's the problem.
and
That's why,
winter.
that's the reason I would only go for a hybrid, is the distances.
Okay, perfect. Sounds like we're good to go. Next, carry forward.
So, we did take a moment, yesterday, as, the mayor was saying, we did have 3 sessions on the tourism strategy. So we had one yesterday afternoon, one yesterday evening, and one this morning, so we had good attendance there. And, I know that the library showed, the funeral on in the morning, so they opened early at like 6 o'clock. The Legion had a special thing on at 11, and we did take a moment and, read some quotes by the Queen and take a moment at our session at 1 o'clock. And of course, we had our flags down there now.
Stefan Grasmuck did last post on his trumpet, and it filled the Legion. Wasn't that beautiful, Debbie?
Yes.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So I just wanted to comment on that. The animal shelter, so we did receive a proposal on September 6th. And I did respond to the proposal with the amendments that council asked me to bring forward. And I do have the answer to those today. So we will view them enclosed and carry on with that negotiation. And as well, I let our partners know that we are going to continue to have the pen open for an additional month to November 1st while we continue to look at this issue. Connecting link. So I have the draft agreement. It's in everybody's packages. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at it. I mean, it's pretty much what I think we thought it was going to be. So let me know if there's any amendments or issues with that. And if not, then I'll bring it forward to the bylaw.
I didn't think that's the way it's gonna be. I thought the province was gonna pay for it going through.
They are.
Yeah, but we gotta pay.
We pay them. It's a savings of over
Yeah.
50 grand a year.
I know.
And it means no night shift. This is one of the biggest wins, and I need to thank Annette for doing the briefing note to meet with Minister Mulroney. And the meeting with her was so brilliant, where you're explaining to her, they get to the village of Eganville and they pick up the blade, they drive through and they put the blade down, and her face, she was like, that does not make sense. That does not make sense. And so thank you so much. And I think that we spoke to it, and the monetary savings is huge, but I think the night shift is even better.
Yeah.
Councillor Sisson?
I want to say thank you to you, Jennifer, as well
Thank you.
for that, because I believe both of you spearhead and have been trying, right? And I know you've been on that for many years, trying to get that happening. And with 0 results, and finally with Minister Mulroney, you're able to do so. So hats off to both of you for making that happen. I appreciate that. And it's a really good, solid you've done for the municipality.
It's a big win.
I'll give credit where credit is due, and it's definitely due there.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just common sense actually prevailed is the best way to put it, especially
Right.
when you break the cost down and just based on like your own call staff, night shift, everything, like it makes total sense. You have a breakdown of roughly 10 grand and 3. It makes total sense, and it's a huge win for a municipality, and it's great for ratepayers.
It really-
Saves us one employee right off the bat.
100%.
Yeah.
So there's your
Yeah.
savings on top.
But I mean, I grew up with a father that worked shift work, and I know that shift work it's hard on people. And to know that now they don't have to call in to make sure everybody's safe, and I'm very excited. But every year, Brent, for the last 12 years that I've been mayor, every year that snowplow goes through and my phone rings. Why did the province pick up the blade? Every year.
No, in the contract I read through it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
because
just
they still have to
simple,
do the sand and the salt and like they've got
And that's
repairs
all
to their
in that.
vehicles and they've got, so I mean, there is still a cost to it from the province
Oh, 100%.
perspective. So I understand, but yeah, it's good savings and it's saving our.
Well,
our people.
it's morale. It's huge.
Oh, yeah.
And so we didn't even know what the cost difference would be. And so after the meeting, we both, after the delegation, Annette and I both sort of said, well, it might be a savings of, 10,
Yeah.
15 grand. Like we were both like, but it's the morale, right? It's the no night shift. And then when they came back and met with us and gave us what's in this contract, we started adding up salt and sand and a person, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited.
Carry
We
forward
don't
there.
have 25 employees. Let's not do that one.
Well, we do have 25 employees with everybody involved, like, don't forget our volunteer fire.
Damn.
So, Yeah, but I mean, the policy put forward was drafted by the human resources at the county. So I mean, it's a policy just letting people know that we will be monitoring them, whether they're working from home, working here, or through GPS on the, so that, all the employees understand that we're putting it together. So Ministry of Labor wants us to have it put together for October 11th. So we want to bring it back to council on the 4th.
Mayor Murphy, has a comment?
All right, so all of Finance and Administration Committee this morning at the county spoke out against this. Number one, I would like to say that this is, I'm going to use Mayor Donohue's term, very Orwellian. It brings us, it's 1984 in 2022. The name, employee monitor, electronic monitoring is just so offensive to me. I can't stand it. I did say to Craig Kelly, actually, our CAO, that I didn't want to count our paid duty fire department because then we were under the 25 threshold. Unfortunately, I think that our CAO is correct. I just want you guys to know that even though it says employee, it does include council. So that's a very important note. It does include the people that sit at this table.
When I read that, I thought, geez, we're beyond that. What are we doing here again?
But as far as GPS and stuff, welcome to my world, to what's coming, right? So as a driver, okay, and if I enter the United States, you have to have electronic logging, which is every minute you're on duty, every minute you're off duty, where you are and how long you are there is all recorded. And you are up by GPS the whole time in and out. So there's a big percentage of the workforce that is already attached to that leg, and it's coming here in Canada as well, right across the board very soon.
But this policy speaks to so many different ways of electronic conversation, emails.
Oh, absolutely.
Social media. I mean, I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I think that we are adults and we should be governing ourselves accordingly. I understand that, again, we are creatures of the province. We don't have much of a choice when it comes to the Employment Standards Act. Again, I had fingers crossed this morning that maybe we could talk it down from that 25, but I know you're reading that. What I would ask, and I would ask council's indulgence, that an appropriate meeting with all staff, whether it be department by department or what have you. I want the employees to understand that we do trust them and that this is not something that our council would have entered into, but for the demand from the province. And I think that that's a very important message. We're going to do it with all 900 staff members at the county. And I think that our staff deserve to know and deserve to know what's in this policy as well.
Well, absolutely.
So everybody's okay with that for staff direction?
Yes, please explain to the staff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, in no way, shape or form am I in favor of any of this. I just mean that we've already been in this world of
Well, you buy a new, like, say, excavator anyways, you have a proximity, it shuts down when it's, you're from 250 meters, you say, it tells you how much it's getting actually utilized today.
But
It's here in a lot of aspects, but I don't agree with the GPS tracking of individuals. Makes no sense.
no,
We are doing a little bit about what the roads department for our road protection.
Well, yeah, so you know where a dump truck is, GPS tracks and stuff, that makes total sense, so you know, there's no clearing.
But this is far beyond.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That is for insurance purposes and to protect our employees,
Yeah.
right? And when I called for the vote this morning, I said, I'm going to reluctantly call for the vote for this to go forward to county council next week, and everybody sort of went, like, yeah, we're not in favor of it, but.
So Annette, what's more, I guess, the historical background on the reason this is being brought up, like, what's the actual specific?
So I think it's a liability issue, and the fact of the matter is that with freedom of information, with requests that come in with GPS, and we had that conversation with Public Works when we did with the GPS in the truck. It's not that we don't trust our employees. It's not that we think anybody's doing anything nefarious, but you know, when you have a freedom of information request, that all of a sudden, all of your emails are now exposed. You know, it's a policy that's put into place, so make sure that the employees know that if you're operating on any municipal or township, you know, whether it's a piece of equipment, whether it's a laptop, whatever it is, just be aware that we, you know, and it's not even that we're monitoring everything, but we could. Like if somebody sent in a freedom of information request and we got an audit and we had to go in and we had to take your stuff, better for you to know that could happen to you, so that you didn't do something on there that you went, oh, I just want to do this one personal thing while I'm at work, and it's, you know, I don't know what it is. You know, whatever issue it is, and now it's being traced, and now it's being audited, and now it's gone out to the public, and now you're liable for what? You know, I don't know. Maybe you some behavior that shouldn't have been, or you know, the liability issue for the trucks is because if someone got in an accident, we can say, well, we were there at this time, or whatever. So that's important. And so it's really a liability. Just make sure that the employees understand that all of this stuff is township property, township information, and could be requested. You know, it's kind of similar to, you know, I have notebooks that I take, and when you take certain courses, they always say to the clerks, when you finish your notebook, shred it, because if you don't, it could be used against you in a court of law, and you never know what you wrote in here that maybe you didn't want somebody else to know that about, right? Now, I always laugh because my handwriting is crazy. And I also have my own short form, because when I worked at the law firm, I took dictation and I didn't know shorthand. So sometimes I use symbols that only I can understand. So good luck using it in a court of law without me to interpret it. But it's just things like that. So at least if people know that, you know, hopefully they will act accordingly, and we do expect our employees to act accordingly. But if, you know, they at least have the forewarning that we could look into your stuff. I'm not saying we're not actively seeking it, but if I receive a freedom of information request that audits something and I have to go in, I'm looking at your stuff. So, you know, but at least I told you I did, because maybe as an employee, you're going to say, well, I didn't know you. If I had known, I wouldn't have, you know, been exposing myself to
So
that
really, like,
information.
the thing,
I don't know.
but I guess my question
Yeah.
is this is already in practice? This is just making everyone aware.
That's right, exactly. That's how I read it. It's a policy to make sure that everyone is aware that we could be monitoring you. It's not that we have to monitor.
But it gives you the option to
It gives
monitor.
us the option to monitor, which is it's really already there. But the Employment Standards Act is trying to protect employees, to make sure that we have a policy that says we do it. So it's written somewhere, so you shouldn't be surprised that this could happen.
Okay, but
That's the background.
I just want to tell you that it is Bill 88.
Mhm.
It was presented on August 11th, on July 13th, 2022. The Ontario Ministry of Labor, blah, 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 to include a chapter on written policy on electronic monitoring of employees. So this is a brand new policy from the province. And I can break down, I won't do it right now, but I can break down some of the challenges, like that any township resources obviously they've always been, but there's a lot to this.
But I guess in
Bill.
our municipality compared to a lot of, say, larger municipalities, is that we don't have a significant workforce at home.
Yes,
Is this
that's, I
this
think, where this.
this
came from.
policy is
Yeah.
coming from large municipalities that have employees at home,
Mhm.
and they want to ensure their work at home, no different than a high-tech company.
Well, it's coming from the province,
Yeah,
Yes, but yeah.
but I want everybody to realize it should say employees and council.
Mhm.
Sorry for belaboring that. It's just, I'm a little hot under the collar with this bill.
I always like to know
Just
that.
to add a little further,
Yeah.
Jennifer's probably familiar with this from her household. We used to have the little black notebooks, and my message was, black is beautiful, write it down, because court might be 2 years from now.
Yep, perfect, and I carry on.
So water meters, the water meters are being replaced in the month of October, so we did put that out in the newsletter as well. People will be receiving that are on municipal water will be receiving notice from Neptune Technologies with a reference number to give a call, say here's a good time for you to come in and replace our water meters. So that's coming forward. So I just wanted to again bring that up and remind council in case you get calls, because sometime soon they're going to start getting these notices on their door, and if they're confused as to what it's about, that's what's going on. So the study for RVs. So I did receive some calls from residents that are a little bit confused by, there's a lot of information going on out there for why are we doing the study? What's happening with the RVs? We thought the zoning was passed, those kind of questions. So I just wanted to give a quick overview of it so that, council, I know you know why we're doing this study and how it came about, but also just for anybody listening online or to have it in the minutes so that people are aware as to what's happening there. So basically, the County of Renfrew came and presented some options when we were looking at the zoning bylaw to update the RV provisions that are in our current bylaw. And it's not that, so there's some information out there saying, well, council didn't like those options. I don't know that council liked them or didn't like them. The options were put forward and we removed any changes to the RVs in the zoning bylaw because we wanted to get the zoning bylaw cleaned up and make sure that it was clear and it was current, and then deal with the RV provisions afterwards and deal with them all at once. So we're not dealing with RV provisions across the rest of the province and then dealing with Lake Clear separately. We were wanting to update the RV provisions for everybody. So before we could do that, because Lake Clear is a capacity lake, we weren't able to provide the same provisions across the province for everybody without first making a change to the official plan. So in order to do that, we needed to get some science to defend our policies because as we know, we did look at some RV policies earlier in the year and they got appealed to the LPATs, and we didn't have a planner or environmental engineer or any of these special people to be able to defend the policies that we were bringing forward. Not that those policies were right or wrong, but when you're going into LPATs and you're going to have to spend money on lawyers, you want to make sure that you're doing the right policies and you have people to defend it. So we did have $25,000 allocated to do our zoning bylaw, which we were paying to the County of Renfrew. And then we were able to, Dana was able to get us a grant for those funds. So reallocating those funds towards the RV study and provisions and that kind of thing. And then of course the cost came in higher than we expected. So another $38,000 was required, which we did take out of reserves to cover the extra cost. And that the hope is that by spending some money and having some specialists who are able to write up scientific documents and testify on our behalf, that either we won't receive any appeals once we go to look at the RV policies, or if we do receive appeals, they will be easily won and not cost us a lot in legal. So I just wanted to clarify that we're not changing the capacity designation of Lake Clear. That seems to be the calls that I'm getting. Why are you changing the capacity designation? That's not what the intention is of this study, and I'm sure council's aware of that. But just in case you get questions while you're out talking to people, the intention is to look at the overall RV provisions across the township and to ensure that, we do all of that at the same time. And in order to do that, having to make an official plan amendment to the county to be able to pass our own RV policies across the entire township. So still keeping the capacity designation for Lake Clear, figuring out what policies will support that going forward. So it has been commenced, and the information that we're working on right now is from 2006. So I think regardless of how the study goes and the information that comes out of it and the provisions that council approves, we do have some old information on the properties, the septics, the seasonal, the vacant lands, the septic beds, the holding tanks. So I think it's going to be very helpful to be able to update that. And then we're gonna know what the current are. So where were we in 2006? Where are we now? And maybe it's very close to the same numbers. I don't know, because of course, development is restricted there. But I don't know if we're at the same spot where we are. And I did not know that 20% of the shoreline is owned by the Crown. So there's information coming out that I didn't have, and maybe this council has it from prior information that's been received, but the county's been good to work with us to provide us information, and our environmental engineers and our planners are hard at work trying to update that information so that when we do come up with the policies, which might be very similar to what Bruce first presented, we will have all that supporting documentation and all that supporting information to be sure of the decision that we're making. So I just wanted to clarify, because I've gotten a lot of calls from residents, and I don't know if council's getting questions on it too, but just making sure that people understand what we're doing and what we're looking to accomplish for it. So hopefully that clears it up.
Yeah, I just trying to summarize it a little bit there, and that I think basically what we're doing, council here wants to, my understanding and what I've been telling residents is that we've hired some experts to give us a study of the lake where it currently is. And once we have this information, then we can implement a bylaw that suits whatever their information relates to us.
Yeah.
And that's, and so instead of us going forward with something that can be challenged, well, this still can be challenged, but at least we have qualified people to back up whatever our bylaw
And
is.
current information.
Yeah, and current information, correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we can take 5.
Just before, because Annette's got several more items.
Yeah, it's low. Let us know when we're alive there, Annette.
Yeah,
Okay. Carry forward there, Annette.
Thank you.
thank you guys. Sorry about that.
So the next,
Bless you.
the next part is just the military exercise that was planned for point out. So, I guess, due for unforeseen circumstances, they were unable to put together that exercise for October. So they're doing something different, this winter, but, we'd still like to come to point out someday in the future. So for now, that won't be moving forward, but
Are they still gonna have because they're still setting up like residents, like they're still gonna be there, they're just not as big capacity?
no, they're not gonna be there at all.
Oh, not at all?
Okay.
Oh, I must have misread that. then.
No, not at all.
Maybe, is there a way maybe to see if they wanna do like a show and tell of their vehicles and point them out on Legion Field sometime?
Yes, for sure, I can reach out and ask them that, and I do plan to reach out to them as well as the Guacamagon for the Santa Claus parade, so,
Yeah,
still.
Just, yeah, because I know families and kids in there love to see them. so.
Well, I think we were all excited to go and see them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, so unforeseen circumstances, so,
Yeah.
obviously something,
I guess it's
something
just,
else
I
is
guess it's
priority,
just kind
so-
of like just, maybe just follow up with them and see if
Absolutely.
they're still willing maybe to come
Yeah.
at some point, just to provide a couple like transportation vehicles, attack helicopters, whichever, or tanks.
Whatever works.
Preferably a tank if they have it. that'd be
Whatever
pretty
works,
cool, but-
yeah.
If they can get one started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, just at some
Nasty.
point, it's just be fun.
Listen, I got to fly in a Chinook and in Huey, and I've got to tell you, fun.
But you had your fluorescent stuff on in case you ditched.
That's right. No, well, the first time in the Chinook, we were doing the freedom of the county at the garrison. So we were all soldiers for the day. It was a lot. It was hard. They
Thank-
deserve a lot of our respect.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy, for that
Sorry.
story. Nat, could you carry forward, please?
I don't have a mayor's report.
So, the next part is just letting you know the environmental activity and sector registry. So this is something new that came out, earlier this year and is due on November the 18th. So, I did set up an application with the Ministry of Environment and, gave access to our engineers, Cambium, to register our waste vehicles that all now have to be registered through this. So we already had, some things registered with our water and sewer for transport of things, but now, they're moving into the waste sector. So it's just a registration, probably the application and the time will cost us about $3,000. And, hopefully it's a one-time registration and for the light of the vehicle.
Murph, you had a comment?
Yeah, I not really directed this, but this spurred something in my mind. We used to get at one time, a year-end rebut from our consultants about our waste sites.
Yep.
And, then there's an executive summary. I was wondering, what is the status of Ruby Road? Are we at what we're expecting to be at, or are we?
Yeah, I think everything's looking good there.
I mean, do we have, like, my gut feel is we should still have about 25 years left.
I
Where I'm
don't,
coming from, and that, it took us 18 years to get that, so,
yes,
if you starting to get, maybe
Mark,
15 years
Mark,
left or whatnot, there's time to start to look. I know it's a long way, but it's time to start to looking.
no, I understand, and I know that the province is moving towards zero waste in 2035. I don't know that we're gonna get
God
there.
bless 'em.
But at the time, at this time, I don't think the province is looking at any more expansions. So I'm not sure where that's going to be headed down the line. Do we have 25 years? I'm not sure. We probably have at least 20.
Well,
But I don't think, we're going to get any more extensions. We asked, because I know snowdrifters, is getting close to capacity, so, it's our bigger concern at the moment.
Yeah.
And, they won't support any time, expansion on that. So, we continue to work towards things, but yeah, waste is going to continue to be an issue as time goes, and I know our transition date for recycling and circular economy is coming in 2025. I'm not sure it's gonna be as helpful as they think, but,
No. I agree.
yeah, so we're gonna hit a wall eventually with.
Jack, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just had to come, I think the biggest impact for Ruby will be how long snowdrifters. We're able to keep that open, because once the demolition waste goes to Ruby, that's when you'll see the major impact. Right now, they're not even on the first sector, so there's quite a bit of
yeah.
time there,
I
depends
realize
on the
when
demolition. waste.
Snow drifters close, it's weird.
Well, I was gonna say, what, the question, I guess, was asked in it, so maybe at the next meeting, maybe Jason could just give a council
Sure.
brief summary on
Yeah.
it, just rather than us talk about
Yeah.
the answers.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any
I
other
mean,
questions?
Maybe you could just include, how much, grinding is helping with that particular site.
Grinding and life expectancy.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
personnel, yeah.
From
Okay.
Sure, it'll
yeah.
be a-
The one, I guess the one
something-
question, so you said it's a $3,000 fee, but where does that $3,000 go to? Is that just a Camden?
Part of it is going to Canadian and part of it is going to the province for the application itself.
And is this is a new,
This is a new.
this is a new fee
Yeah.
that we get?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because the province promised us, less red tape.
Well, what's,
Sorry,
what's
it
the,
was right there.
I guess for that, so like, what was the rationale is just to certify our vehicles no different than the water and sewer? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
they're trying
think
to say?
they're trying to keep track of all of the waste vehicles in the province right now. So like I said, this is,
Is this just for municipalities or is it for private contractors as well?
I think it's for everyone that transports waste.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
another licensing fee almost?
Yeah.
Pretty much
That's
yeah,
about
exactly
Yeah,
what it would
that's
be.
correct. Yeah.
Well, I know when I drove a dump truck, we had to have environmental permits for any type of
Yep.
contaminated anything.
Okay,
But this is just another,
Well, you know, it's a garbage truck, you're gonna be hauling garbage.
yeah. It's right in the name.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, that was,
Right in the
that was
name.
really the question I had, yeah. And then the biggest thing
Yeah.
will be if it starts becoming a recurring fee, then like we're gonna have to lobby at some point, do this $3,000 increase for nothing. Like in all honesty,
Yeah, yeah.
it
I
makes,
think-
it really makes no sense.
Yeah, waste is gonna continue to be an issue. They have about, well, a couple of years ago, they had 9 years left in the province of Ontario for garbage at the capacity we're moving right now. So I don't know where we're going to end up at some point, but it's,
Okay.
Well, we could,
It's
let us
gonna be-
recycle more.
well, that's the
That's
goal.
all.
That's the goal.
Let us recycle more.
Yeah, so,
Or just ends up, the recycling ends up.
Diversion is not working.
Yeah, it's all.
Unfortunately, it's not working.
It diverts. and it just gets into-
There's no commodity. That's except for metal.
Perfect, well, that's very forward.
So, flood hazard mapping. So, when we had the floods, in Ranford County for 2017 and 2019, the MNR brought in and they got some LiDAR, photos for the area, mainly along the Ottawa and along the Locher. And so what they're doing is they're willing to give us that data and give us that information, which we can then have studied, with funding from the federal government in order to create a flood hazard identification map. And that's, the county's looking at applying for that funding for everybody together, and we would all have to contribute our portion. Now, some of the municipalities would, of course, contribute more because it affects them more, like the ones along the Ottawa River that really had issues. But the reason behind it is because if we continue to have flooding issues, and hopefully we won't, but if we do, this will help identify where those areas could be. It will help protect those areas, and also going forward, if we're applying for funding, if we do have another disaster, the province is sort of coming back to us and saying, okay, so what are you doing about it? What are you doing to prevent that? And so this is one of the things that they have suggested multiple times. So if we had to contribute to this project, if we got approval, so first of all, if the county's applying, we'll have to wait and see if we get approval. If we do get approval, then it'll be divided up between the municipalities along the Ottawa and the Locher River to say, okay, how much would each of us cost? But that would also be split over 2 budget seasons, so it's not as large of an impact for 2023 and 2024 to get that information put together. So
Jack, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I have a question on this and that because this was supposed to be a 100-year flood. Now all of a sudden, they're going to take their readings that they saw and they're gonna say that this is gonna flood, possibly flood, so now people can't build there, they're gonna contaminate their land. What's this to do? Because to me, it looks like if it's a 100-year flood, so-called what it was, now you're going to prevent people from being able to occupy that land along the river, or because it's possibility for flooding, so you're not gonna get permits, or what is this?
well, you're already not gonna, like, that's
No,
already
but
there.
I'm just saying there's
Yeah.
some places that were flooded that haven't been flooded before.
Right,
So
Yeah.
now, because
I'll take this.
because it shows that this is now flooding.
Mhm.
So what's that
So-
going to do with these locations?
it's an updated database, right? So the
Yeah.
data we have is outdated.
That-
And so it's updating the data and the flood mapping that we have to something more current. for future disaster plans.
Yeah, it's based on a
Okay,
100-year plan.
Okay,
Mayor
look,
Murphy, yeah.
and I totally understand what the idea is behind this, that our previous mapping was from something ridiculous like the 1960s. Don't quote me on that, but it was way back. I was the warden in 17 and 19, and I've never seen destruction like that. The LiDAR system is not going to prevent flooding. Let's just get that clear. My thinking when I saw this, and I did some reading into it, is that what this is going to do is it's going to say to the province and the feds, if you don't have this system, don't bother applying for any monies to help your people or help your municipality. That's again, a piece of red tape that we don't need. I agree that we should update our floodplains, but I think that there's a better way to do this. And you know, when you talk about the funding applications for disaster recovery, many of us didn't even meet the threshold. Others, I mean, I will tell you the devastation we saw in Horton, and Tim and I were in Wrench Valley
Excuse me.
in a flat bottom boat, which was very scary. I don't see how this is not an early detection of a tornado. This was not an early detection of bad weather. These floods happened in a moment, and I'll be interested to see what the contributing members will have to pay. But for now, that's all I have, Chair. Thank you. Stuff like this just, yeah.
Merv,
Yeah,
comment?
Yeah, I think, what you, I think the last time the threshold was something like you had to spend 25% of your budget before you could apply, or it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Almost had to have the township wash away before you could apply for
And
$100.
many of the townships said basically that, like that you'd get back, but, oh, and then there was a fundraising element at one point. Anyway,
I mean, it's been a few years ago.
that's another one of my rants for today.
We'll review it, I guess, when it comes.
So I just wanted to make you aware of that, the tourism strategy, so I already touched on that. So we're still working through those dates. Richard Innes from Brain Trust will be back at the end of October again to do some more sessions then. And the final tourism strategy plan will be done in December. So
How was the show? Like with businesses, was it a good turnout?
it was a good turnout. All three sessions were great, and we had different people. We had people, you know, from accommodations, people from local restaurants, we had people from tourist organizations, we had our community development officer, the community development officer from Northern Wilberforce. So we had a really good turnout of different people with different ideas, people from the Snowmobile Association, people from the Cycling Association. So hopefully we've got enough information to put together some ideas, some strategies, move forward, and then of course present them and get more input, so that we can come up with the right strategy, and where should we be putting our dollars to attract the right people and do the right things here for Montreal Valley and for, you know, the area. Because if we can establish this, then we kind of feed it back to Ottawa Valley Tourism, who feeds it back to Ontario Highlands, who feeds it back to Destination Ontario, who feeds it back to Destination Canada, right? So it's just kind of we're not doing the marketing, but we're getting the right information so that other people can do it for us, and that will benefit people as time goes on. So we'll see what comes up. But yeah, we've had good turnout and really good input. So.
And I think that it's a very aggressive timeline, which I'm happy to see. But the other thing is recognizing that partnerships with our private sector, with our partners in North Algona, perhaps even with Adamson Bromley, it was the session I attended, good meeting of the minds to recognize that Eganville is North Algona's village center as well. So any partnerships that we can do with them and cross promotion of businesses and partnerships between the businesses as well. I was very impressed.
Yeah, and we received funding for that as well.
Yeah.
And it's good timing because everybody after the pandemic is ready to come back out. So it's time to start marketing ourselves again. Pathway to Zero, so we did receive funding as well for the arena and curling club, so they're been looking at ways to be more efficient in both of those facilities, and once we have the plan on how we can be more efficient, then we can apply for the $3 billion that the feds have through NRCan, and that's very competitive dollars, and the application is very complicated, so you need to have a study even just to apply. So that's what we're working towards, and then hopefully we'll get some capital investment in both of those facilities.
For that grant program, how much, what's the percentage of breakdown for funding?
So I think it's 50% funding, but I know that both the curling club and the arena have pieces of equipment that were to be replaced this year that we put off in hopes that we're going to get this study done, we're going to get the funding because we knew we were going to spend that anyway. So let's say it's about $50,000 for each, so it's $100,000 total. We were going to spend that anyway. So if we get 50% of that covered, then we're only spending $50,000 for those two pieces of equipment that are necessary that we were going to replace anyway. So hopefully that's how it works out. That's what we're looking forward to. And if there's efficiencies that are going to save us, hydro, propane, with, heating costs, anything like that, perfect. Because those costs are just going to continue to go up, right? So. So the election, just so you know, the accessibility plan that we reviewed and the policy and procedures are now on the website and available for feedback from the public. If there's, something else there that they would like to see, trying to keep the election as accessible as possible. And that's all I have to report.
Perfect. Thank you, Annette. Okay, we'll move on to correspondence A. We received a thank you from the Volunteer Museum. Anything else in correspondence A? Perfect. Correspondence B.
Oh, yeah. I would like, with your permission, council, I would like to put out the resolution, the same as Wasaga Beach and Kingsville, about the Strong Mayors Building Homes Act. This is just a slippery slope to take it from the large urban centers where the mayors would have veto power, which some of our residents believe I have veto power, which I do not. I am one vote at this table, just like all of you. And I think that we act as a team, we work as a team. And I believe that if this goes to smaller municipalities, it will create a problem with our CAOs. It will create a division amongst our councils. I think it is a bad idea. And I also believe that this is the province saying to municipalities, we're going to give you these powers, and then we're going to look like the good guys. And that's my final rant for the day. You're welcome. Again, this is something that we've talked about at county, and it just doesn't sit well with me. I see this as a creep of the province. And, one thing that I said in my interview with Debbie was that I am very concerned about more provincial downloads. This feels like a provincial download.
And then for the next meeting. we'll
Yes.
bring that forward. Okay.
Thank you,
And then
everybody.
Then I saw on our agenda for tonight, the support of the township of Greater Madawaska.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah,
Yes.
I saw that was on our agenda tonight
Yeah.
to pass that. Makes sense. Was there anything else? There was a Renfrew County Regional Science and Technology donation request. I don't recall if we ever, I don't, Lynette, have we donated to it previously when requested?
Not that I know of. Sandra, do you know if we've ever donated to the Renfrew County Science? No? I'll check.
I had
I
a
don't-
sticky note asking the same question. Like, I don't think we ever have.
I don't think we have in the past.
No.
Not that I.
Not that I remember.
No.
Sounds good. So everyone's good, no? Perfect. Okay, that's all. And then correspondence C, and there is nothing. Library board report, short and sweet. Biggest thing, well, we had our meeting, but pretty much they're just a reminder that they're hosting Hoople Rocks this year at the Eagles Nest, Saturday, November 12th at 6:30 p.m. There will be no fee for the using the venue, obviously, so they're very appreciative council for that in township. And BV will be providing the bar and arranging the setup. So besides that, everything's all good at the library, just trucking forward. Okay,
Reading books and moving on.
then we got the IB charging station and that's received staff direction on that, and there is no additions to the agenda, so we're gonna establish the next council meeting.
It's October 4th.
It is October 4th. The mayor is correct. As when we'll receive our next mayoral report.
Yep,
Perfect. Looking forward to that. Councillor Sisson will be chair at that meeting.
it's
Um,
always when he's chair, that's,
Then we have media sessions. So Debbie for council, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted a little bit there on County Road 512.
mhm.
So just can you give me a little bit of background? Did Bonnechere Valley realize that this wasn't happening? And I know Craig said something about, making sure there's better communication in the future. What happened here?
That's what I was saying when they were here, Debbie, that there were times that it sounded like we were good to go on that western end.
Mhm.
It was never communicated, even up until our August 31st county council meeting. The word I was given was that, yes, they were going, it was still on the operations report as a start date of the middle of September. Now, did we know that we weren't getting the entire tract? Absolutely. But what I was told is late, that's why they were invited to come today. Because at this point, I think council and our ratepayers deserve to know.
So had you been made aware that it was not going to be a mid-September start date?
I contacted the county on September. I don't want to mislead, so that was August 31st, so that was Wednesday. I contacted them on September the 12th, the Monday, and said it's already September 12th, what's going on? And when they said that I was pushing them, I spent a good amount of hours dealing with Hydro and Bell on this and trying to work our way around these property owners. I know that the question was asked about realignment and widening. If you're gonna do it once, do it right, which I agreed with. But I'm really glad that they came today and told council exactly what was going on.
So basically, what I heard is that the alignment of Hydro and Bell. is what's
Utilities,
supposed to-
realignment of the
Of the
utilities.
utility.
Yeah, oh, the relocates of the utilities. Yeah, they have to go back,
Is
yeah.
what's gonna, is what is postponing things.
And the fact that it took an extended period of time. So property owners issue was the first thing. Then the brushing back of the road was the next thing. And then Hydro and Bell.
Mhm.
So it was a perfect storm of errors and miscommunication.
All right, so it sounds like it's gonna be next year.
Too late.
With
to solve
everything.
it.
I'm, and again, unacceptable.
Yeah.
It is, and I'm not saying anything to this council or to the people on YouTube that I have not said to our county staff. It's unacceptable. Our ratepayers deserve better.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so it wasn't my last rant of the day.
Thanks, Debbie.
I'm gonna sound like a crazy person.
Going for.
Oh, nice.
Perfect. We do have one item under closed session. So then I will read that off and ask for a mover. Committee proceeding closed session in accordance with the municipal act 2001, section 239.2, deal with the matters as indicated below. A position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Could we please have a mover? Councillor Sisson, all those in favor? Perfect. Thank you. We're now into close.
We're back in.
Good, perfect. So please have a mover to move to that close. Counselor Susan, committee moves out of closed session to rise and report. The committee met to receive information, give staff direction regarding the animal shelter proposal and to approve minutes from September 6th, 2022. All those in favor, perfect. Thank you very much. Could I please have a mover to adjourn the meeting?
City Council.
Mayor Murphy, Councillor Buckwald, all those in favor, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.